It's a new year. 2023 is here. Putting on my list of minis. New season, let's cheers. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the past. Time to get on the Not Your Average Joel podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Not Your Average Joel. So today we are not in my room. We are actually out in the park at Palisades Park here. Today we are here in Aniana, which is not too far from where I live. It's a very beautiful place. I come here not as much as I used to. I feel like I used to come here a good bit to hike and enjoy like the little cabins here they have. You know, you can rent it and have like a party or so. It's usually a good time here. It's been a while and it's nice to come back, especially during this beautiful weather. So I have Donna here with me today. This is her fourth time here. It's good having her here and to do one in person because I don't have to worry about internet connections. So usually sometimes I have like some internet problems. So I love getting to do these in-person interviews or not interviews, more of like just conversation. I like to consider it more like a conversation. So yeah, thank you for joining today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love this. I love getting to do it outdoors, and
it's so pretty today.
Yeah, it is very pretty today. I love this kind of this time of the year. The only bad thing is like right before this recording started, like we've had like a wasp come around. So like these wasps and bees are the only things that I don't like about this kind of weather.
Yeah, I don't like wasps or bees either. So.
Yeah, so
I love the spring, but not that.
Yeah, so if you ever see a wasp or bee come around, I might be like, So just just keep that in mind in case if you're listening to this and you just stop hearing me talk, and that may be why, because there may be a wasp around. So anyways, so today we have a topic that we are going to talk about that both me and Donna can relate to and have gone through, and currently Donna's not going through this, but I am. But I still thought that this would be a good topic to talk about, even though she's in a different time in her life than I am with this situation. So the topic of today is going to be on dating struggles. So for me, I have been single for going on 8 years now. It's been a little while since I've actually been in an official relationship, and I've gone on dates, but a lot of first dates, a lot of just you meet someone, you think you have a good time, and then it goes away, and then then you kind of part ways, and then you never hear from them again. That's kind of been my life in the past 8 years recently, and I know it only takes one person to make things right. So I thought that it would be good to talk about dating struggles and some of the things in life that may hinder our dating lives. So even though like I mentioned, she's currently in a relationship, I think it's still good to get her input because she's mentioned about having some struggles, and just
I was in a similar situation as
yeah.
Joel,
so yeah, just being in the waiting just can get hard, and it could be just very difficult to deal with. So yeah, I thought that this would be a good episode and a good topic. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and get to my first question. So my first question is in relation to phones and like technology altogether. So I feel like phones they can hinder us in a way when it comes to the dating life, and there's many reasons why I think that, but before I even kind of give those reasons, I kind of want to ask this question first. So do you feel like we're so like comfortable with just like going straight to our phones and like not really wanting to get to know anybody, or do you feel like the phones really don't have much to do with like the dating life and all that?
I feel like it does. I mean, nowadays we meet a lot of people through like online dating, like through our phones.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they can be used for good, but they can also like hinder relationships as well, especially if people are maybe not paying attention to their significant other, like, and being on their phone all the time. But right now I'm usually not on the phone all that much because of school and stuff. So
Yeah, stay a little bit more busy these days for sure. Yeah, so I can see that. I can see it going, being both ways, to where it is a little bit of a challenge. It could be challenging, but also there are some good things about the phone. Like nowadays, there are more opportunities to meet somebody, like through online dating. There's so many apps out there that you can use. Some for even like specific like religions, I guess, like even with Christians, like there's Christian Mingle. There's another one that's called like Holy. There's one called Upward. Yeah, so
I've heard
there's
of that one.
yeah, so there's a few like different opportunities that I feel like people can have, and there's even some that are like specific to like maybe even the age and stage of your life that you're in. I feel like some reason Yahoo must think that like I'm older, because I always get these spam emails of like elderly dating. And it's like, oh man, it's like I'm not that old yet. Like I feel like I'll be 30 this year, but it's like I'm not in the senior bracket yet. It's like give me another like 30 years. But but it does show that like that there, even those getting those spam messages, that I can see that there's even opportunities for people that are older that maybe have gone through a divorce and may have children, grandchildren, but still want to find that right person. If maybe unfortunately maybe they're a widow or something like that. So I do love that there's opportunities out there, but then at the same time I can see how it can hinder people in a way too, because I feel like going to our phones is so easy. It's like I just feel like that's like that's like your safe space. That like you can take yourself out of reality sometimes and like just look through the lens of other people, and like just seeing, even though we know that like in reality, you may see these pictures and think like, oh, those are, it sounds like they have an amazing life, and I know that's like you're only seeing like 1% of that person's life through photos. But I do feel like maybe we get trapped in that idea of like almost looking into other people's lives, and then like we just kind of zone out from our surroundings while we're on our phone. And it can in a way be a hindrance, like even like with like I guess when I think of like trying to find the right person, I would think for me personally, being a Christian, like church would be like the perfect way to find somebody.
That's
but
true.
I do feel like the problem that I see not only with other people but with myself, I'll put the guilty stamp on this, is that I'll go to my phone first thing, because I never know if people are going to want to talk to me. Maybe is there like a fear of rejection in a way, not only for a relationship but even to build friendships. Like I felt like people are almost afraid to talk to someone new face to face. It's like it's easier to get on the phone and message them and like kind of speak that way and then meet them in person.
Right.
So,
right.
but
I see what you're saying.
but it can be hard at first, like to kind of get yourself out there, and especially for me, like as an introvert, like I grew up really quiet and really shy back in high school, to where I didn't really have that many friends until I was like at the end of high school, and then like once I got out of high school, I kind of grew out of my shell a little bit at that point. But it did seem like like my phone was my friend in a way, and it just seems like it still can be that way. Like even at church, I struggle, like I'll be in a singles class, and then you go in and everyone else has got the same kind of attitude. Everyone's on their phone. So it's like no one knows like who's going to take a first step. But not even if maybe aren't even interested in like getting to know that person in a romantic way, but just to even like build a friendship, it can be hard too.
Right. I agree. I'm the same way. I get nervous and I start looking at my phone all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to talk to anyone. But I try to get out of that and try to mingle with people.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, it really is. I wish that I could get myself out of that habit. And it's a very hard habit to get out of, because as it's just so just we have everything in the palm of our hands when it comes to our phones. Like you can even make friends that way, which I have been able to like make friends, meet people online, and like become friends with that person. And even like doing this podcast, like there may be people I haven't connected with in a while, you know, like some of y'all from the basement I haven't spoke to in a while, and as well as like people from school that I haven't seen, you know, since we graduated like 2011. So that's what, 12 years ago already. And, you know, just reconnecting with people that I haven't seen in a while, and like kind of getting to get to know them in a different way, sort of. Like, you know, I feel like people, you know, if I haven't seen someone in about like 10 years, which probably for us it's been 10 years since I've seen you.
It's been a long time in person.
Yeah. And I was like probably 19 or 20 last time I was there at the basement.
God.
And here I am now, about to be 30 years old. And
so I was probably like 17 then, because I think I'm a couple years younger than you, so yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my goodness. That's a long time ago.
It is. It's crazy how time flies.
I know.
But so that is one good thing about like having like our phones and stuff like that, is that you can reconnect with people that you haven't seen in a while through social media, which of course is, you know, through our phones. So, so yeah, I think there are definitely some good and bad things that can come out of it for sure.
I see that too. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to do better for sure, as far as getting off my phone and trying to be more in tune, or like more in reality world, and like trying to get to know people. But it's just so hard, because sometimes I feel like I do put myself out there, and I feel like I don't get nothing back, then it's like, oh, back to my phone, and like let me cave back in.
So let me just go back into my shell.
Yeah. So it's just I feel like it's something that, like, especially the younger generation, I feel like we need to do better, and we need to try to find better ways to just to talk, just to have friendships, because I feel like with maybe our parents' generations and the generations before, is, you know, maybe easier for them because they didn't have phones, they didn't really have technology, that probably some of them didn't even have TVs. So it's like, you know, you maybe go outside, you play with your neighbors and all of those that are around your age. And I even had that like when I was really young, but once I got older, you know, never really kept in touch with those neighbors. So I can you know, I kind of wish that I had that mindset that maybe my parents had, you know, when it comes to like getting to know people, and just simply just being around other people, and not just staying in that little shell that we have, you know, which is our phones.
That's true.
Yeah, so I hope to do better, but it's a work in progress each and every day. So my next question is maybe more in relation to maybe our relationship with the Lord. And I feel like as Christians, you know, we may be looking for things in a person differently than like what other people would be looking for. Like a lot of people, you know, want to look for I mean, yeah, I guess it's good that even like Christians, I'm sure, look for like a good personality, someone that's caring and loving. But like I feel like more of a deeper level of like maybe stuff that Christians look for. Like maybe somebody lives a lifestyle that like is against God, and like is against God's word. But we, you know, so we kind of stay away from those kind of people when it comes to finding your future spouse, or even just someone to date, to get to know, to maybe eventually get married. And you know, I was just thinking that, you know, maybe people think that we are too picky. So I guess my question for you is, do you feel like you are picky when it comes to finding the right person, or, you know, just, or even to date in general? And if the answer is yes, do you feel like being picky is a good thing or a bad thing?
Okay, so from the world's perspective, I think yes, I'm probably picky. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, it definitely protects, especially if you're a Christian and you're trying to date and you try to date a non-Christian. Being picky, like, it protects you, like, because first of all, you shouldn't be dating a non-Christian anyway. But even if they are Christians, they may not have the exact same values as you do, and that protects your heart as well. So
Yeah.
I feel like that it's very important to be picky. So
Yeah.
I mean, not picky in like a bad way, but just be conscious of what qualities you look for, I guess. It's a better way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think that, there can be a level of pickiness that some people it can be in a bad way, where people do look at it like, man, you're really never going to find anybody if you're almost looking for the perfect person. I mean, yeah, there's never going to be such a thing as a perfect person, but there is such a thing as someone that's maybe perfect for you.
Yeah.
And I think that, maybe people, even Christians, and I could even kind of be that way, where I may notice something out of somebody that is a turn off, immediately, and I don't even give them a chance. I'm like, all right, nope, I'm getting rid of this chat. Nope, we're done with this. I'll move on to the next.
I get that, especially with if you're dating online or even in person, and someone just comes up to you and starts trying to talk to you. Some things that people say, it's just that's not appropriate for you to say when you first meet someone.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that happens in person and online for sure. I definitely have seen both sides of the spectrum, and to where, yeah, and it can be really hard to, that's kind of where I feel like I can be a little picky also, and I feel like being picky can be a good thing. It could be a bad thing if you're overdoing the pickiness, and as I mentioned, people trying to pursue a perfect person in a way.
Right.
But
there's no such thing as a perfect person.
Exactly. So, I think, I'm picky in a way to where there may be some things that I feel like it's so rare in today's culture to find this specific kind of person I'm looking for. Maybe when it comes to, I guess an example I'll give is maybe somebody that's waiting until marriage. And
that's a big one, and it's important.
It is, and I feel like it's so rare because modern day, the way the culture is nowadays, is if you're not falling in line with that area, then it's then almost as you're a loser or something. And it's very, and of course I look at it the other way around.
Right.
I look at it as you have a lot of self-control, and you're winning in life, and you're giving glory to God through that. But I feel like many people may look at it in a negative light, and that's to where people maybe fall into peer pressure of thinking, well, maybe if I fall in line with this, then maybe I will find somebody. And it's not enough people, men and women, don't have maybe enough respect for themselves in a way when it comes to that area, to just you feel like you just have to give yourself away to somebody just for them to, not always, but for the most part, just use you and move on to the next person. So I think that's something that that's one big example that I'm looking for. Now there are other things, when it comes to profanity. I don't use profanity, and if I notice that somebody immediately is going and using the Lord's name in vain, the F-bomb and something like that, I know that's a big part of modern day culture as well. People love to, it just kind of comes out of the mouth, and no matter if kids are around or what, and even I've even heard people in church using this kind of language. It's okay, this feels this feels kind of wrong. This definitely is wrong, even if it wasn't in church. But to where people are more comfortable with even using this kind of language that doesn't have a positive let me try to think of a positive connotation, vibe, or something like that. And it's not glorifying God using those words. I feel like it's a turnoff for me. So whenever I hear somebody using the Lord's name in vain, it's okay, I'm done with this. So I feel like there's just some things like that I have been a little bit more strict, I guess you can call it, when it comes to the dating life for me. And I think that's it can be a good thing, but it also comes at the cost of like first dates for me is very far, and then it's like it's so like I maybe will go on a date like once or twice a year, just because I'm trying to almost have this like mental checkbox in my head, like, okay, well, she loves the Lord, okay, she doesn't cuss, okay, she is saving herself for marriage, and I've even tried to, because not, without using too graphic of words, there's some people that maybe wanted to be virgins but didn't have that opportunity to keep like that virginity due to somebody taking that away from them. Yeah. So I guess, sometimes I do have to be a little bit more open-minded in that way. Like, instead of, like, if I hear a no, like, no, I'm not saving myself to marriage. But, then I may want to hear them out, like,
Why?
What's your story?
Mm-hmm.
What, was this a one-time thing? Did somebody take this away from you? Like, did someone take your virginity away from you? You didn't want that to happen? Or is that all you're looking for is a hookup? So you just never know. I'm trying to do better with that, like being a little bit more open-minded. Mm-hmm. For sure.
I get that.
so yeah, I feel like those are like two really big areas that I could think of when it comes to like the struggle of dating. And like another thing that like I didn't have included initially in like the questions that I sent was just like being patient is really hard.
Being patient is super hard.
It really is. It's like you go, like I tell myself at the beginning of the year, okay, well, hopefully this year I'll find the person that, that the Lord has for me. And then here you are, it's December 31st already. And it's like, okay,
you're
well,
like, okay, it's not this year.
Yeah.
Try again next.
Yeah, I have that mindset every year. It's like, all right, well, 2022 is my year. It's like, nope. Yep. All right, well, 2023 is my year, and it may happen, it may not happen, but I go through the same pattern of telling myself, oh, it's going to happen. But then, if I think about it, even from my side of things, maybe I'm not trying hard enough. Like maybe I'm only limiting myself to getting to know somebody online, which can be tricky sometimes because not every situation, but there are some situations like I probably watch a little too much of Catfish. Where that's what I'm thinking of.
I'm thankful I've never had that happen to me before, but I know people who that has happened to.
Oh really?
Yes. Oh bless their hearts, it was awful.
Yeah, so that's what I'm scared of. I don't want to ever be in a catfish situation, which is kind of a struggle within the dating life as well when it comes to online dating, because you're thinking that you're talking to someone, and then like you meet this person and it's like, okay, who are you? You're not Jessica.
You're not who I thought you were.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you are a completely different person, and then it gets to where you don't even want to trust people online. Right. So it can be a struggle even in that area. It's like having the discernment, I guess, is like in knowing who that person is, like they are who they are. So I think like I know this is way out of, like I'm not really way out of it, but it's like I guess an advice that I would give even to myself and to other people that are doing online dating is it wouldn't hurt to talk to this person like with FaceTime and stuff like that.
Yeah, for a while. Or at least have some mutual friends or something. That's important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good,
I actually met my boyfriend on Facebook dating.
Did you?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we had a mutual friend, so I was able to kind of like scope it out and be like, is this person real?
Yeah.
Before I met him.
That's
what you have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I love that you met through a mutual friend, and like that you had a mutual friend, because then you know, okay, well, if this person knows that this person's a real person, then it's like, okay, I could trust this person a little bit more.
Right.
So yeah, it gets to show that online dating can work. I've known people that have met people online. I've had friends that have done that and gotten married, and they have families and all that. So it definitely works, and I'm hoping that's why I'm still keeping my mind open when it comes to meeting people online and in person. To be honest, I probably feel like I've been more open to people online just because I'm a little bit more shy and a little bit more quiet. So like, it's
a good thing for introverts.
Yeah. Exactly. It does almost become a safe space for me to kind of talk through my thumbs, I guess you could say, and like getting to know someone in that way. But I mean, the in-person stuff I do want to try to do better in. So I feel like, yeah, there's even within the dating struggles, there is that, yeah, just waiting that it can be hard. That's a struggle in itself, is the waiting when it's year after year of no, like this relationship isn't gonna happen, and like then you start having like these mental thoughts like, oh no, I'm never gonna get married, I'm never gonna find the right person, and never gonna have children, and then it can be, so it's got its good and bad. It's got its pros and cons for sure.
We've definitely all had those thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, especially as we get older. You know, like I know a lot of people in their 20s. Not that it's ever been like some kind of said rule out there, but it almost does seem like society is used to like finding the right person in their 20s and getting married and having children. Like I'm sure you do too, I know way too many people from high school that are either married to somebody, or they're married and have kids, or they have kids, you know, like it's like one or the other or both.
It's like my entire class.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. I mean, like even a couple of years ago, like just a quick story, when we had our 10-year reunion, we, like, you know, I was inviting people to come bowling. I only like had maybe 20-25 people come because I didn't care to see the whole class. And
Oh, yeah, you went to a big school.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I only graduated with like 99 kids. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you went to a smaller school. Yes, yeah, our class, it was like 220.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, our class is gonna be lucky if we have like 5 people show up to our 10-year reunion this year.
Yeah, see, so that is crazy that you know, I forgot that all about you going to a smaller school. Which was that, what school was that?
Susan Moore.
Susan Moore. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, see, so I went to Pinson, and then I know people that even went to bigger schools that had like 500 in their class. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
like that graduation.
It's like the entire all the kids that went to Susan Moore, that's how many it probably was.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's insane. And how, like, just depending on where you live and where you go to school and all that. And but yeah, with that 10-year reunion, those people, a lot of those that showed up are have married or have children. So then they're asking like, can I bring my kid? And it's like, like, I don't know. I'm thinking no. Like, like, I'm sorry, but it's like, the one big reason was because I only had like a certain amount of lanes open. Then like the kids would want to play bowling, and it would take away from the people that I'm reuniting with. So I asked people, and I think everyone understood, and everyone was pretty, like it's okay with it. So I was glad for that, at least, because I was worried like, hopefully people aren't going to be offended that like, sorry, your kid can't come. Can your husband stay home? But then sometimes there's that struggle of those people that both went to school with me, both graduated the same year, and then both of them want to come to the reunion, of course. So it's like, so I think it ended up working out. But, you know, it just goes to show even there, like sometimes I can compare myself to those people that are married or have children. And it could even be a struggle in that area, I guess mentally, for me, because I'm thinking like, how did this person that, you know, never wanted to have kids, they now have kids, but then here I am, like I've like had such a huge desire to have children, yet like it hasn't happened for me yet. And sometimes I start questioning that, which I probably shouldn't, because in a way then it's almost like I'm questioning God in a way, like why is your plan this way instead of this way? So
That's
I have
true.
to be careful with that.
I understand that. I've definitely went through that a lot.
Yeah,
So I get it. And then and then you feel bad for questioning God. But then it's like, but
yeah, exactly.
why is it like this?
Yeah, I'm glad that you can relate to this.
I can relate to that.
And I'm sure that other Christians can relate to this. So, you know, it's good to even talk about that from a Christian standpoint, because it's so easy for us to think of the negatives, or to think of like, why, Lord, did you do this? And then like you end up realizing later on down the road, like, oh, okay, like, that's why you did that. Sorry for doubting you in that moment that I did. So, there's a lot that goes into the game of dating struggles, more than just what I even have put down when it comes to phones, and even like just being a Christian in general, and the things that you look for in a relationship. So one more question that I have in mind as we are coming to a close here on this episode is that that it can be frustrating when it comes to the dating life, but I feel like there are some good things that can happen in the moments of waiting. There's things that maybe we can preoccupy ourselves with that are, positive things that can help prepare us to be a future spouse, or for the moment, like a future girlfriend, future boyfriend to that person. So I know right now you're in a relationship, but while you were single, what were some things that you kind of preoccupied yourself with, like to where you weren't constantly thinking about, oh, I'm single, I'm alone, or something like that? Like, maybe did you have any hobbies or anything like that?
Yes, I feel like, and this is actually something I've came to the realization of recently, but I feel like I definitely try to keep myself occupied. I've always been good about doing things, but I've come to the realization that being single, I mean, it's a good thing. You can do all the things that you want to do. You don't have to think about anyone else in that moment. So it's good. It's a good thing. I feel like we all need to go through it to be able to be happy when we are in a relationship. But when I was single, I tended to just do, I don't want to say whatever I want, because obviously I didn't do whatever I wanted to do. But I did, I went back to school, and I'm still in school, so I still have a couple of years, but I was able to do that. I traveled a lot and I still like to travel, but I was able to go out of the country and stuff by myself, and I don't know, I was just able to I went to museums by myself. I did lots of things by myself. Went to the movies. I did all the things that you get to do by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I even got really good at, like, if there's a restaurant I want to go to, nobody wanted to go with me for whatever reason. They were busy or whatever, and I obviously wasn't dating anyone, so I couldn't ask anybody like that. I would just go by myself.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I have hobbies too. I always like to paint, read, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I love that. Yeah, I love that you could like have things to kind of preoccupy yourself with. Like, one big thing that you mentioned is traveling, which traveling is like my go-to when it comes to kind of preoccupying yourself with, because I know once I find that right person, once I get married and you have your own house and you have your own family, it can be a little bit harder to travel. And I don't want to say it's going to become non-existent, but I know it's going to be a little bit less.
Not as frequent.
Yeah, because of the finances and all that. So, and I know you mentioned about traveling alone, which I know I can say I've done the same thing. And one big reason why is because we use the same like travel agency, like EF Ultimate.
I love EF. They're amazing.
So I love going on EF trips. Well, when I say that, let me take the S off, because so far I've only been on one, but I do want to go on more than one. I hope to do that here in the near future, especially now that they've like upped the age to 35.
No, I'm so happy. I'm like, yes, I can go on when I graduate my master's. That's my goal. Is once I finish my master's degree, I'm gonna take another big trip.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
So that way, this is my reward. Because I haven't traveled since I started school. So.
Oh, wow. It's been a little bit.
It's been a while. It's been almost 4 years since I've taken a big trip. And I want to take another one. So after I get this next degree, I will go on another trip.
There you go. So, yeah, hopefully that time flies by, so you'll get to enjoy some traveling, getting like out of the country again.
Oh, yes.
And stuff like that. But yeah, that is definitely EF Ultimate. I definitely recommend that if you're single and want to even get to meet other people, because you get to go on these group travel trips with other solo travelers, and you can build friendships from there. People that I met on that trip I still keep up with, even if it's not like a best friend, but it's like still a friend that you keep up with, you talk to, so, and I even just catch up with every now and then. So
Oh yeah, I have friends like that too, and it's great.
yes, it
is.
is. So yeah, definitely traveling is number one for me. And then another thing, like you mentioned, is like reading. I think reading is a really good thing to even have time for yourself as well. Like I know, especially for me, just especially being a Christian, like understanding like the Word of God is important, and like reading it. Of course, that's the first part is that you want to read it, but then you also want to understand it. So I think that's been something that I'm trying to do better in, because I'll have the habit of like being in the, I guess when it comes to the Bible Belt, like we're almost expected to like check these boxes off. And one of those boxes for me is like reading the Bible. And I may just read it and say, okay, well I did that, and not really understand what I just read. And I feel like that's especially happened for me recently, because currently I'm trying to read in Leviticus, which is a hard book.
That's a hard book to read.
It's hard.
So boring.
It really
it's
is.
Like rule after rule after rule.
It's like all of these sacrifices, and then like you're unclean at your childbirth, and it's like there's so many things I like. Yeah, it really is. So it's like, oh my gosh, like reading this for the first time is like mind-boggling. And so I have had that attitude, especially in the very beginning of Leviticus, where I almost feel like it's like repeating itself. It's like, all right, get this sheep, do this to it. You can't eat this part of it, and then this part is like burn it, and it's an aroma to the Lord. And it's like, it seems like it's a constant pattern, and it can kind of seem to me in my head, even though it shouldn't, because the Word of God is not boring, it's not redundant, but at the same time there are times where I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I just read this, like can I be done with this part? So sorry Lord, I've had those moments, and I definitely want to have more of an open mind even in Leviticus, but there are times where I'll just read it and not even understand what I just read, or I may read something and think like, okay, who cares? I'm trying to do better in that area. So yeah, I think reading, and preparing myself, because of course even reading the Word, there are even areas in there where it talks about husbands and wives and stuff like that. So even like preparing yourself spiritually to be a future husband and a future wife. So I definitely think reading the Word of God is going to help build you in that area, and even when you are in the dating stage, and even in marriage, there's always room for improvement, always room to grow. And as long as no one's ever comfortable with where they're at when it comes to their walk with the Lord, I think that that those are like two big things for me: reading and traveling, for sure. So
same. And I feel like I also, which I did this more so when I was in my earlier 20s versus my later, like my earlier mid 20s versus when I was versus being in my late 20s. It's weird saying late 20s.
Yeah, no, it really is.
But anyway, but I know I preoccupy myself a lot with just being involved with like within the church. Like I feel like there's not a whole lot of stuff to do for our age group.
Yeah.
But when you're young, like in like college age, there's a lot to do. So like I feel like it's important, especially for that age, to keep yourself preoccupied in that moments of waiting. I feel like it helped it a lot more.
Yeah.
Involved. So
yeah, I think that's a really good like piece of advice to give to people that may be looking, like that may be dwelling in like loneliness and like kind of sad about being single. I think that's like a really good piece of advice to give, because there's a lot of single people out here, and there's a lot of us that have the same mindset and goal, like when it comes to finding a marriage that's like based around Jesus. And just finding that right community, like depending on where you live, and even if it isn't in the area where you live, you just travel a little bit farther. Like
I've done that before.
Yeah, same here. I've definitely done that too, where I'll travel outside of my city and like be a little bit, expand my horizon, and like get myself out there a little bit more in other areas. So that's something that I'm even trying to do even right now as we speak, is trying to expand my horizon and trying to build a community of like deep friendships, and then that will help me be a little bit more preoccupied until the right person comes along. Not that I'm saying I'm dumping you friends. If we're friends and then all of a sudden I find the right person, I'm like, all right, you're not my friend anymore. Everybody get out of my life.
It's like, this is the only person I'm going to have.
Yeah. So definitely don't be icing out your friends once you find the right person.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not good.
Yeah, you're gonna create enemies pretty quick. That way, you don't want enemies within the church. So,
Nope.
definitely keep those relationships, because they are the ones that probably helped you through your singleness and your time of waiting.
Oh yeah.
So
friends, I mean, they're the best. I have the best of friends, and I'm so thankful for them.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I'm still thankful for them.
Yes, I'm glad that there are people that we can count on. I can say for me as well, I do have a few friends I can keep up with every now and then. I may not see them every time, but it's always good that when I do see them.
I see my friends maybe like once every 3 months. We get together.
Yeah.
It's life an adult though.
Yes, it is. It's adulting at its finest. So I can relate to that as well, and I know that everybody's in different stages of life. Some people that I've been friends with since high school, are now in different positions. Like, I have a friend that just had their second baby here last week, to where I know it's going to be a little bit more harder getting to see him. But then, because I know they're just going to be busy with their life, and then just making sure that they're with their in-laws and their families and all that. But I know about a month ago, we ended up having like a game night at my friend's house, and I think his mother-in-law like kept their kids, or it was just one at the time, but had his son like back at their house, the in-laws house, and it almost just felt like even though it's been over a year since like we all hanged out, it just felt like we picked right back up to like from where we last left. And I love those moments. So just definitely in our times of singleness, just definitely count on your friends, count on your loved ones, your family, and don't forget those people, even when you are in a relationship or even in a marriage. Definitely keep those relationships strong.
Yes. The best piece of advice I think I've ever, or not advice, well, it was kind of advice. It was that I was ever given. I was probably like maybe in the 10th grade. I think we were on a church retreat, and one of the ladies she was a leader in the church. She was talking about, we were all talking about like our crushes, and like we were 16, so we were like, we're single, like we can't wait to meet the person that we're gonna marry. Like, we were young. But I remember the advice that she gave us was just for us to live our lives glorifying the Lord, and one day someone's gonna walk right on up, and they're just gonna start walking with you. I mean, obviously you have to put in a little work, but it happens.
Yeah.
It just happens. So.
Yeah, that's some really good advice, that she gave y'all, and that you still carry with to this day. I love that, and I think that's advice that everybody else should continue to to keep in their life on a daily, because it really can be hard out here. And I guess as we are closing out, one more final thought that came to mind is I feel like, just in general, like, even though there's so many single people out here nowadays, I feel like single people can sometimes be forgotten about. Sometimes I feel like I feel like we're just pushed to the side. And I've even seen that even within churches, where there's people that are in their college age group, and then all of a sudden, like, it just seems like marriage.
There's like marriage, like the small groups, yeah.
Yes.
There's nothing for people like from between ages 25 to like 30 that are single. They're not really like.
Yeah, it really is a struggle. Like, I've seen that way too often in the church, and in a way it's kind of sad to think about, because like not everybody finds their perfect one in college. And like you said, there's in between like 25 and like 35. It's like we're in that range where it's like kind of hard to place us, because we're all going through different things in life. Some people are still in college, some people are married, some aren't, some have children, like so it's always just a different journey that people are on. And so I guess that's kind of why maybe it's harder to find a community, just because it's like ebbs and flows. People join in, people get out. But I still would like to see more awareness for the singles out here that are still waiting, that are in between that age, that don't fall in the line of I'm married or I'm not dating or I don't have children. So there's I would like to see more thought put into I guess more consideration put into like the singles within not only the church but just like life in general. I feel like society likes to automatically think, like, completely skips the in between of college and then you get married. And so it's like I would like to see a little bit more awareness to that.
Me too. Same. Everyone. I mean, this relationship's going good now, so hopefully it keeps going good.
Yes, yes, most definitely. I'm hoping for the best, most definitely, because I definitely want to see everybody thrive and and like build a life with somebody that that they care about. So I'm definitely hoping for the best for you and for all of y'all that are out there that are currently in the dating and even marriages, because I know marriages, divorce is on a high rise, and people start getting annoyed with other people and think that, okay, well, divorce is the answer, and it's like no, it's like divorce. You said I do before the Lord. Just try to be committed. When you say you're committed to something, stick to it, unless there are those Bible grounds, like with adultery and stuff like that, or even like abuse or something like that. But other than that, just try your hardest and fight hard and love hard too. So anyways, I think that's going to close out this topic for today. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's always fun doing the podcasts. I love them.
Yes, I love getting to do these too and reconnecting with people, and even doing these, like, now that the weather is beautiful, doing it out here in this nice weather.
Yes.
And I know before I even leave here, I definitely want to see an amazing view up there of just the mountains. I know y'all can't see it in this video, but there is a beautiful like view up there once you get to the top, and I definitely want to take that in before I leave. So I'm actually going to do that. But before I do that, I want to thank everybody for listening or watching, whether it's on YouTube or if it's on any of the podcast streaming platforms. I definitely appreciate your support there. So anyways, everybody, I know that this will be coming out on Wednesday. So today is going to be Wednesday for y'all, but today for us is Sunday. It's Palm Sunday, so happy Palm Sunday. And I hope that everybody has an amazing Easter, and just remember the reason for this season as well. And I hope that everybody has a great rest of your day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye. Thank you, everybody that took the time to listen to this episode of Not Your Average Joel. My podcast is available not only on YouTube, but also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast from. I also have an Instagram page where you can see outstanding moments, behind the scenes, and even a funny moment or two from each episode at Not Your Average Joel Podcast. If you want to get in contact with me, then my Instagram page is probably the best way to do so, through direct messaging. I appreciate any kind of support that you have given to this channel, whether you are a guest or a listener to this podcast. Once again, I thank y'all so much, and I look forward to sharing more of my life with y'all on the next episode of Not Your Average Joel. Goodbye.